So each of the teams will, it's the same course as yesterday, so 270 meters of swimming. Then the run up to transition is 110 meters. Then you've got 3 laps out on the bike to bring them up to 8K. Athletes numbers 1, 2, and 3 of each team will run 1.9K. It's a 2-lap course, but the extra 200 meters is to take them back down onto that blue carpet area for the handover for the relay. The final runner of each team, athlete number 4, will run just 1.7 kilometers. Air temperature 34, water temperature a glorious 26. I had a call earlier, just before the start of the race, from Patrick Hendricks. Patrick Hendricks, one of the technical delegates, and he's from Belgium, has explained that the wind gusts are currently at 50 to 60 kilometers an hour. And because of that, the organizers have taken all of their volunteers and they've taken down as much of the branding as possible. So if you see the athletes out on the course and it looks rather bare, that's because the athlete's safety is paramount. And to avoid the barriers being blown down into the course, on the bike course, or the run course, the organizers have taken down a lot of the branding. So, looks like a clean start there. Who are we likely to see strong in the water? Well, certainly you've got Alessio Crociani, absolutely supreme in the water there. The blue uniform, yes, you can see him there at the front. Alessio Crociani will be working very hard, but watch out as well for Fabian Meilsen from Switzerland. If you see the red uniform with stars down the back, that is the Swiss uniform. As well, keep an eye open for the Polish athlete, Maciej Brusiak, because he too in the water yesterday and on the Friday, very powerful, very strong. We do expect as well to see the youngster João Nuno Batista from Portugal tucked into that leading group somewhere. And cheers to the big shout out to all the guys and girls watching on the YouTube channel, and Ruud de Haan. Van harte bedankt, Ruud. It's going to be an exciting race. Ruud de Haan, one of the legends of commentary from the Netherlands. You can hear his voice all over the Netherlands. In fact, you can hear him when he broadcasts live on Eurosport, because he's one of the legends of the commentary teams in the Netherlands. Back at the race, let's see if we can get a close-up and see just how well the swim is unfolding. Really do expect to see Alessio Crociani either leading this or shoulder to shoulder with somebody else. And I do think that we're going to see Switzerland and Poland up there with Italy. A wonderful venue here. The interviews yesterday, the post-race interviews, all of the athletes were commenting on how lovely it was to have not only very clean water, but also such a glorious swimming venue. So here we are, out of the swim. And it's Meilsen from Switzerland leading out, Brusiak behind him, Crociani just on his feet. Was that in fact just behind him Jonas Osterholt from Germany? The long run up to transition. This is where Crociani yesterday made a phenomenal run. He had a lead in the swim, which he doubled as he ran up to the transition area. Carpeted all the way through by the organizers, a really, really enormous amount of carpeting here to make it safe for the athletes running when they're running barefoot. Team Germany wearing number 1, that means they're right at the very far end of the transition area. All of the bikes are grouped together in country order. And that looks like Crociani straight out there. But it's Great Britain, Hamish Riley, good position from him. Russell White tucked in behind. Batista in the thick of that, in the middle. Not an awful lot separating the athletes, but Andreev from Bulgaria right at the back there with Gültekin Er, the Turkish athlete. Now that athlete on the right, struggling to find the right position on the bike, getting his feet into the shoes, but quickly we see the athletes, 8 of them grouping together. The 9th athlete working really hard, trying to bridge that gap and get onto the leading peloton. There'll be a bit of settling down as they work out what the tactics are going to be. No doubt there'll be some shouting and communication within that group to see whether they're going to start pushing hard. And it looks like Krachani at the front. Well, not a lot separating them. It looks as if the majority of the race is all together. I think we might have lost off the back. We might have lost Bulgaria and Turkey. Well, the swim exit from what we saw looked fairly straightforward. For those of you who are watching this morning, and for those of you wondering what happened about the Spanish disqualification, the Spanish team was decided to carry on to the finish. They submitted an appeal. The appeal was presented to the competition jury, who then sat and deliberated on the evidence that was available to them, and they decided to set aside the disqualification. So the results from this morning's race give gold to Team France, silver to Team Hungary, and bronze to Team Spain. If you go to the triathlon.org results page, you will find all of the results up there. Sadly, we did have some DNFs, and we also had some did not start. So Team Netherlands, Austria, and Slovenia, they didn't start, but Team Germany, Switzerland, and Italy, they unfortunately pulled out during the race with technical problems, as did Team Luxembourg with a medical problem. So the results for the junior mixed relay up on the results page already. But here we are with the elite and under 23s. Interestingly enough, Team Portugal has chosen to put the younger Batista brother, who's a junior, into this mix. Now it's a short distance, and so for that reason the juniors can race it, and there's nothing to prevent that junior athlete from racing in a mixed elite and under 23 category. So this could be interesting, just to see how well Portugal can perform. I explained earlier that we had triathlon history made by having the Batista brothers at a European Championship taking the titles of junior, under 23 and elite together, because the older brother, Ricardo Batista, racing in the elite and under 23 category, won the entire race. So he takes the elite crown as well as the under 23 crown. So 3 crowns shared by Team Portugal. Fantastic performance, and I'm sure they'll be delighted with the results there. We've got an update from the course and from Team 19. Oh no, Team 19 Bulgaria right at the back of the pack there. As the athlete came out of the water and went into transition, equipment was discarded outside the box. That's a swim cap, swim goggles outside the box. All of the hats are numbered, so that's a penalty. And that means Team Bulgaria will get a 10-second penalty. The penalty can be served by either the athlete who committed the infringement or by any other member in that relay team. So the coaches now will be looking very closely at that penalty and at the dynamics of the race to see whether Boris Andreev will serve the penalty himself or whether it will be pushed to either Anastasia Pecheva, Borislav Palashev, or Gergana Stoyanova at the end. I know some people are going to be saying, well, it's just equipment outside the box, why is there a penalty? Well, the penalties are there quite simply to prevent infringements. Anything that gives an athlete an advantage that's outside the rules can be penalized with a time penalty or disqualification, but with a time penalty, the advantage that the athlete has got is then taken away from them. It's in the rules, the athletes know this, the coaches know this, but in the heat of the moment, these things happen. So I know that the Israeli coach Lior Cohen has been sat glued to the laptop watching these races for the last 2 or 3 days. So big shout out to Lior, coach for the Israeli national team, and no doubt watching these events and having the advantage of seeing the athletes swim, bike, run so many times. The swimming, the biking, the running, the transitions, the finish, all of that is tremendously important detail and data for the coaches, as well as for the athletes. And what a great venue where they can have so many races. Back to the front now. Not an awful lot of change. Huge peloton there. There are some sections of the course that are really, this section coming up just now, I think, no, a little bit further around the course. It's not particularly technical. It's relatively flat. There's a couple of rises as the course takes the athletes over the canal or over the roads. There's one part in particular where we had some spills, and I think we might be coming up to it just in a moment. Yeah, just there, as the athletes start to rise, we had a couple of enthusiastic attacks on that bend, which saw athletes sliding into the curb. And it was there that we saw Rivier, the Swiss athlete this morning, desperately trying to fix the problem on his bike, but being unable to do so. So this is a hill where we have seen the athletes attacking to try and break up the pack. As they rise to the top and then cross over this section, there's a relatively easy downhill section where again an attack could break up the group. For Luis Tomé on the YouTube page, the camera should have a close look at the athletes. Yeah, it's not quite as easy for the cameras at the moment. We saw in the mixed relays when it was down to just Ilona Hadoum, the French athlete, it was much easier for the camera guys to get close into the action and to get some images. But with a large pack like that, unfortunately, it's too much of a risk for them, and we are really focusing on the safety of the athletes. Just heard from the course, disaster for the Portuguese team. We've got a mechanical problem. So unfortunately, that's Team Portugal out of the race. What a shame. It would have been so good to see the two Batista brothers really pushing their team forwards and inspiring Ines Rico and Maria Tome to get onto the podium. But unfortunately, really sad news there that the technical problem has robbed Portugal of a chance of finishing here at the relays. Breakaway at the front. Let's see if we can pick out for you who that athlete is. So there you can see the athletes. Mawson with a 2:54 swim. That's 5 seconds quicker than Crociani managed a couple of days ago. Very, very bright sunshine out there. Is this Crociani? Has he broken away? Very tough conditions out there with the winds. But that lead, the breakaway, the pack have allowed the athlete to break away and to create quite a considerable amount of distance. About 14 athletes behind, not responding to that attack. Now, this is dangerous because if that athlete is able to create a huge amount of distance between him and the rest, then the handover to the next athlete is going to give them a tremendous advantage. I think that's Alessio Crociani, the Italian athlete. The 14-strong peloton can see him, but they don't seem to be responding to him. Well, that attack was well timed, but yes, now we can see the peloton is beginning to edge closer to the leading athlete. As he loosens his shoes, let's get it right into the area there. Good. This is now coming into the dismount line. Onto the carpet will take them, and then there's quite a long ride around as they come onto this section of tarmac. A little bit further on is the dismount line, and then there's it's Crociani, Alessio Crociani, with a fantastic breakaway. Not a lot separating the rest of the pack, though. Now, Crociani is going to have to run through to position number 6, which is quite a favourable position. There, Crociani, just in front of Passamar from France, but there's nothing to separate them. This is all going to be down to any minor error in transition, and those positions will all change. Jan Vollard bringing up the rear there. So Passamar racking on the left, Maelsen racking. Hamish Riley missing a position. Oh, Hamish Riley from Great Britain losing valuable seconds there. Itamar Lebanon storming out of transition. Brudziak chasing. Noah Servais on the shoulders. Way back now. Kish from Hungary. And I think that's Osterholt from Germany. Team Germany, way down at the moment. This could all change. Don't forget, it's a relay, so there are strengths and weaknesses within each team. And that's what makes the relay so dramatic and so exciting. Once again, Jan Vollard, towering figure of Jan Vollard racing there for the Czech Republic. Our technical official on the bike on the top right-hand side of the camera of the road there. The advantage that Crociani had created in that breakaway now appears to have been absorbed by at least 3 athletes who are running running with him. Again, good ride there from Emil Holm, very powerful out on the bike. Mitch Kolkman, Netherlands, right at the back of that group. Sponges available. The sponges have been soaked in ice water, and it's a real bonus for the athletes here. And you'll see them tucking them into their race uniforms. Crociani dropping down the rankings there. That work he did on the bike, he's now down to about 8th, 10th place.
Serdar, olur mu? Olur mu? Tamam.
Emil Holm, and I think that might be just behind him, Bazanta from Spain. Noah Servais doing his best to drag that chase group along. Hamish Riley, having lost time in transition, has Russell White on his shoulder for company. Gruziak, powerful in the swim, is now dropped down on the run. Opportunity again for some water. Some of the athletes taking it, some choosing to run past. So 4 athletes now bunched together on the final stages of the run course. They'll be bearing to their left. There'll be a section that will take them under the cover of that huge building where the sponge station was on the right. Once they go past there, they've got the extra 200-meter loop that takes them down onto the relay handover. The relay handover is on the side of the swimming venue, and the technical officials will be organising the athletes in the right position, and it's just the same as you would see a handover on a running track, for example. There's a box within which the handover has to take place, and it's hand to body, and then the athlete can take off. Gültekin Er there, Turkish athlete, long distance swimmer in the past, and this is Andreev, Bulgarian athlete. I think he's the one bringing up the rear. Whether he's served the 10-second penalty yet, I don't know. But we just saw the technical official go past on the bike. That's the rear end. The front end, we've just seen him go past. This is the turning to the right onto the carpet, down again onto the side of the swim venue. 4 athletes racing for their positions. Now, let's see the camera angle and pick out who is going to be handing over first. The excitement and intensity down at this handover is electric. If ever you are at a relay and you are in a position to get close to this as a spectator, get as close as you can to this, because it's the most exciting moment, apart from the finish, of course. The shouting, the cheering from the athletes, and the intensity of the moment as the handover takes place, particularly when you've got 4 athletes racing together. So it looks like Spain and the Netherlands. Barbara de Koning's going to be taking over from Mitch Kolkman. Holm, Basanta, and Passamar. Noah Survey handing over now. Okay, so in the Dutch team, we now will be seeing Barbara de Koning. She'll be racing against Candice Denizo, and she'll be racing against Sara Guerrero Manso. And for Team Denmark, it will be Alberta Kier Pedersen. So Netherlands, France, Spain, and Denmark. Just seeing Gerge Kiss handing over to Laura Holanski, and that was Jonas Oosterholt handing over to Jule Behrens. We did see as well Russell White handing over to Caroline Hayes. Caroline Hayes, I do apologise. And Gültekin Er handing over to Özlenen İpek Güned, taking it very carefully on that corner. That's where we saw Juan de Negro slipping over in his enthusiasm to get into the water. But you can see there's quite a separation of these leading 6 or 7 athletes. But in that group of 4, Netherlands, France, Spain and Denmark, we've already seen a fragmentation of the athletes as they make their way down the 270 meters of swimming. And it looks as if it's France leading. It'll be Candice Denisot with, I think, Sara Guerrero from Spain in 2nd place. Barbara de Koning dropping down a bit. Got to find the feet to get the advantage. So it looks like France out of the water, Spain out of the water, Netherlands out of the water. Oh, and a slip, trying to get out of the water. Oh dear. That's given an opportunity to, I think, that was Angelica Prestia. Watch out for her. So yes, Spain just leading France, but Spain is first out. A very fast transition there, but France right desperately rushing there to get onto the wheel. Barbara de Koning, bike in hand already there. Now that was good. That was Nora Gmuir from Switzerland. Did really well in the water to bridge that gap. A bit of a struggle on the mount line there from one of the athletes, but let's see. Denmark and France, sorry, Spain and France heading out together. So the 2 athletes working together now. Okay, they've got a lead of about 15-20 meters. Are they going to be able to hold that, work together as a pair, riding together? That they could theoretically do this. It depends how determined the athletes are behind them. Spain, France, Netherlands, Denmark and Switzerland strong out onto the right, and that would be Angelica Prestia from Italy. Whereabouts is she? Where the camera's picked her up, but we don't know where the camera is. Spain and France working well together. That looks like Hagar Cohen Caliph. Well done there. Look at the position she's in. Just on the wheel of Prestia. Tightening up the shoes, getting ready for action, moving up just to take that advantage on the wheel in that draft zone, perfectly positioned. Prestia saying, come on, come on. Urging Cohen to edge forwards. Is she going to take the invitation? Glasses on first. Or is she going to... No, she's going to move up now and she's going to do some work at the front. The 2 of them together hopefully will be able to work one after the other, taking some time at the front and build the speed up and get closer to the athletes in front. Great performance there from Sofia Prima from Ukraine. Powerful, supremely powerful on the bike. Now these 3 together, that could be a potent mix. Prima is so strong. She's a great off-road racer with junior and under 23 titles. But if she can work with them, then that's going to bring those three athletes closer to the leaders. France and Spain safely around that bend where we've had a few spills. So France and Spain still leading. Then I think behind them it's Netherlands and Denmark, or possibly Netherlands and Switzerland. I really can't see. The Swiss athlete Nora Gemur, very powerful in the water. I can't pick up where she is in the race, but then behind them we have Israel, Italy and Ukraine. So it was a very good first leg from Vitaly Vorontsov to put Team Ukraine in that position. And you can see there from those overhead shots just how wonderfully blue the swim venue is. It's a man-made lake area. Yeah. I think Prima has decided to go it alone. She has powered past Prestia and Cohen, and she's going it alone. But yeah, superb man-made venue. A great opportunity for sporting events. Perfectly clean water, and of course nice and warm, 26 degrees. It rose to about 27 degrees a couple of days ago. Back onto the track there we see Prestia and Hagar Cohen Galif working together, with Prima having shot away from them in front. At the front, Candice Denisot with Sarah Guerrero, France and Spain together. And you see the Guerrero there, she's pouring water on her. The athletes have taken water on board because it is very hot out there. With the wind as well, that tends to take away the moisture from the body, and very soon, if you're not careful, you'll dehydrate. So not only are they drinking the water, but they're using the water to cool the body down. And this is what we heard from, I think it was Beth Cook yesterday, or Jess Fulliger, how they were using the water on the helmets, through the helmets, onto the back. Now the lead of the French and Spanish athlete, how long are they going to hold that? Because the attack behind, the camera angles, they do tend to foreshorten the distances. But no, look at that. That's probably about a shade over 80 meters, possibly 100 meters. Good to see some nice attacking riding there from the Spanish and French athletes. So once again, just from the technical team there, so from Patrick Hendricks, who's one of the technical delegates, an apology that there is so little branding out. What we saw the last few days, beautifully lined streets with the branding showing the sponsors, showing the race branding, showing the Turkish Triathlon Federation. They've had to take the majority down because the winds gusting at 50 to 60 kilometers an hour have made it too dangerous. When the wind starts, it starts bringing the barriers down, and that's a tremendous threat to the safety of the athletes and spectators. So the branding has been removed. just to bring you an update from the race, for those of you who have just joined us, a great shame for the Portuguese team. It looked as if there was a chance for them to create even more magic this weekend, but unfortunately we had a technical issue, technical problem for João Nuno Batista in the first leg, and he had to retire with a technical problem on the bike. So that's a real shame. Okay, so that's a clear sign to the athletes that they're pretty much on the last lap. And a very good swim there once again from Tilly Anema from Great Britain, a Cardiff Met student studying sports science. A real great discovery for the British team, powerful in the water, holds that power, generating great pace on the bike. There we have Switzerland alongside Hannah de Vet from Belgium. So that puts her potentially up in the top 5. Hannah de Vet having a great race there. So it looks, my goodness, it looks as if Spain and France have been joined. They have been caught. Or have they not? Is that? Yeah, I think they've been caught, yes. So Spain, France, that's the French athlete just in front. Ganis Denisot just in front of Guerrero. And if the camera had stayed there just a little bit longer, we might have been able to see who was with them. There may well be an opportunity in a moment on a wider section of road for the cameras to come back. They don't want to get too close because some of the sections of the road doesn't really give the opportunity to a camera bike to get that close to the athletes. But they're trying to move now. I've just had a shout from the media team. They're going to try and move one of the cameras with a super zoom lens into a position, which makes it even safer. So once that motorcycle and camera team are in position, we may get a closer view. So it's for safety reasons. We're not taking the cameras too close to the bikes. So it's good that we've got Rud Dahan making some comments on the YouTube page, because he's picked out the riding style. He knows these athletes very well. He's picked out that Barbara de Koning is now in that front group. So once again, cheers to Rud for picking out Barbara de Koning from the Netherlands, tucked into that lead group. So we've got France, Spain, Netherlands, +1. And that attack was perfectly timed, because it now brings the two athletes up to the front just before the dismount time and the start of the run. So well-timed attack there from Barbara de Koning and Nora Gmuur from Switzerland. So Spain, France, Netherlands, Switzerland, that's your leading group at the moment. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was in fact Alberta Kier Pedersen from Denmark. I do apologise. Red uniform at the top. So Spain, France, Netherlands and Denmark together. Of these athletes, the fastest runner amongst them, when she's on form, is the Danish athlete. She was the record holder in Denmark for 3K on the track, and when she's in form, she will burn up that 1.9 kilometers. Hannah de Vet moving into transition, racking the bike. She'll get the bike racked slightly ahead of the other athlete, but she's got a little bit further to run. And it looks as if Kier Pedersen has already made her attack on the run. Which will put Oscar Gladney Rundqvist into a great position for his leg. Prestia heading out now just in front of Magdalena Sudak. Alberta Kier Pedersen striding away there, looking very comfortable. Barbara de Koning can see Guerrero just in front of her, and Denisov just dropping off the pace at the moment. So it was a good move perhaps from the Danish team to put Kier Pedersen into this position, because the extra 200 meters will be a bonus to her. That's something she can really build upon. Right, a question from John Glynn on the YouTube page. We've got a total of 18 teams racing, but of those 18 teams, one team, Team Portugal, has had to withdraw because of a mechanical problem on the first leg. So John Glynn, I hope that answers your question. Back to the front now. Alberta Kier Pedersen looking very, very comfortable there. You see the sponge tacked in the back. Those are the sponges that have been soaked in ice water just to bring the temperature down a little bit. But this is superb running. We've seen her as a junior, as an under-23 athlete, really able to, on the day, really being able to deliver a powerful run. And on a course like this, it's perfect for her. There are lots of sections which are very straight. There's also a couple of twists and turns, and those twists and turns are where she will accelerate away, out of sight, out of mind. Nora Gemur just there ahead of Hannah de Vet from Belgium. And that's Candice Denisov from France. Drifted off the back of that group of four. So you've got the three athletes in front. Denmark leading. Spain just slightly ahead of the Netherlands. Sofia Prima, I think she's on the last of her laps, and that would be the Turkish athlete Özlem and İpek Güner just beginning the first of her laps on the run. Well, Denmark with Alberta Kjær Pedersen, she hasn't taken full advantage of that. Someone is tracking her. I'm not sure if it's Sara Guerrero or whether it's Barbara de Koning. A long shot might help us. That's Heidi Jurankova from the Czech Republic. So on this occasion, Alberta Kjær Pedersen will head down to that blue carpet and turn to her right. And she will be handing over to Oscar Gladney Rundqvist for his 270 meters in the water, 8k on the bike, and then the 1.9k run. So again, a long straight section. This is where she will be absolutely flooring it and pushing the pace as much as she can. Candice Denisot has got about, well, she's probably about 200 meters behind. But the chase there, Barbara de Koning and Sara Guerrero from Spain locked together. Looks as if Guerrero has just edged ahead. So, handover time. Denmark hands over first. Go, go, go, go, go, go. Then we have Guerrero. She's handing over to José Ignacio Galvez Pons. Physical handover taking place. That's it. Barbara de Koning. Now she hands over to Niels van Lanen. And just behind, it's going to be Gaspard Tarot from France, who takes over from Candice Denisot. That's the handover taking place there. Next up will be Team Switzerland, and that will be Alexis Leriot taking over from Nora Gemur. There he goes, and I think behind him it is going to be Team Belgium and then Great Britain. Yeah, so that's Adrien de Haar, and now we see Sam Dickinson heading off. Sam Dickinson didn't race yesterday. He's been brought out here for the relays, so he'll be absolutely raring to go. Nicola Azzano Carabinieri from Udine is setting off now with, that will be Kamil Kulik from Poland. Team Germany handover now. Yannick Schaufler about to take the hand from Jule Behrens. There we now see the handover from Hagar Cohen-Kalev to Mayan Glantz. And Czech Republic is Heidi Jurankova handing over to Philip Klamka. Team Ireland, Jonathan Oakey waiting there for Caroline Hayes to come into sight. But our top group of athletes are Denmark, Spain, Netherlands, France, Switzerland, Belgium and Great Britain. Very short distances here, but is it possible for the athlete who's been standing and watching these races for the last few days, who's been desperately hoping to get onto the start list, and is now there. Sam Dickinson, we've seen him perform at the very top level before. We've seen him deliver a solo race from leading from the start right the way through to the finish, slightly longer distances, but all of that together. Is Sam Dickinson going to deliver for Team Great Britain today? Denmark exit the water first. And the last handover there we see is Team Hungary. That's Gergol Dobby. It's just starting off from Laura Holansky. Taking full advantage of that shade. Oh, it's close behind. There's a battle going on behind. And Carolyn Hayes handing over there to Jonathan Oakey. He had a great race yesterday. We thought that it was James Edgar, because James is so fast in the water, but James was unable to start yesterday, so it was in fact Jonathan Oakey who was in that mix at the front. Team Turkey getting ready for the handover. That's going to be Özlem and İpek Günad handing over to Enes Kızılcık. Now Ireland, you're asking what position Ireland is. That's a request from John Glynn asking what position Ireland's in. Ireland is certainly not in the top 8, but may well be top 10. But that, of course, can change. Jonathan Oakey was very strong yesterday, but at the moment, at the front of the race, Gladney from Denmark is holding the lead that was created on the run by Alberta Kjær Pedersen. But he's under threat because behind him there's some very powerful cyclists. Jose Ignacio Galvez Pons, very strong on the bike. Equally, Niels van Lanen, and there you see Niels van Lanen taking the lead there. Galvez stuck on his wheel. They've taken some distance out of Gaspar Tarot, but Niels van Lanen, watch him ride. He's very good. Out at the front still, Gladney is powering away. But he'll be aware that coming behind him is the potential attack from Niels van Lanen. Hand over there for Team Bulgaria, and that will be Anastasia Pecheva handing over to Borislav Palashev. That's our last team out on the course at the moment. Niels van Lanen looking over his shoulder saying, "Go on, let's try and work this. Let's get some work going. Let's get some speed up." But Galvez sitting on his wheel, now moving out. Now riding alongside is not going to help. Get in front. So now is a chance for van Lanen to get behind him, take a little bit of shelter, get some fluids on board, and then move again to the front to push the pace. Now at the moment we're seeing van Lanen doing a lot more work. Galvez beginning to feel the heat, unzipping the uniform to let the air through to his back. Meanwhile at the front, Denmark with Oscar Gladney seemingly holding that position. So Denmark, Spain, Netherlands, or Denmark, Netherlands, Spain, and behind them we have a mix of France, Switzerland, Belgium and Great Britain. Now Galvez has gone to the front with van Lanen, a much taller athlete, you can see him. Really taking advantage of that draft created by Galvez, but once again moving to the front to accelerate and push the pace. So Balıkesir, how do you get to it? Easy, you fly out to either Izmir or you fly to Istanbul. It's a couple of 100 kilometers from Izmir and about 260 from Istanbul. As you can see, a great location, and it's a location that the mayor has been very keen to promote as a sporting venue. Oscar Gladney Rundqvist, Denmark. Look at this performance. If he keeps this pace up, he will be able to deliver a gift to Anna Holm for the final leg. Quick glance there at Gaspard Tarot. Not entirely sure where he is on the course, but that's Team France, Gaspard Tarot. Big shout out to Media Atoliesi, Sarah Uskan. They are our TV company and director. They've been working hard to deliver as much of these wonderful images as possible. And to Mustafa Gündüz, who's been my contact. There were some wonderful post-race interviews yesterday. I don't know if you've had a chance to see them. If you want to watch the races again, please go to the Europe Triathlon YouTube page. You'll know it's Europe Triathlon because there's a blue flag with a star in the middle of it. Forget all the other links you might see popping up on the, for example, on the Europe Triathlon Facebook page. There's always a load of spam links. Completely ignore them. You can get directly to these broadcasts by going to the Europe Triathlon. Okay, there's Ireland. Ireland is alongside France, and that's, look at that. John Oakey is doing quite well there. Back to the broadcast. So the Europe Triathlon, it's a YouTube page. You can see all of the races from this weekend. In fact, you can see all of the live events that have been broadcast by Europe Triathlon Media. So if either France has dropped back or Ireland has moved up, I think most likely it's Jonathan Oakey moving up. He had a good race yesterday. So if that's the case, either France has dropped back quite some way, and perhaps they've met in the middle. Be nice to see if we could find where Belgium and Great Britain are. That would be Adrien Dahar and Sam Dickinson. Sam Dickinson now in front of Switzerland. So Sam Dickinson moving in front of Alexis Leriot. Now, Alexis Leriot is going to have to work rather hard to keep up with Sam Dickinson. Taking that corner at tremendous speed. This is the corner we've seen a number of athletes come down on. It's a slightly adverse camber as you go into that, and if you hit it at the wrong speed, you'll slide away. But this is a solo ride, a solo performance from Oscar Gladney Rundqvist from Denmark, having taken over from a powerful bit of running from Alberta Kier Pedersen. And it was certainly the early work from Emil Holm that put them in such a good position. His riding has been so powerful. Taking on some last fluids. And that's Alexis Leriot. Okay, so Gladney is now heading into the final part of the bike course, turning left. Very soon he'll be dismounting and running down the blue carpet to the dismount line. A bit of tarmac there, asphalt, and then you come onto the blue carpet. A dismount before the red line. Oh yes, nice and clean. Oh wow. So that is quite some distance. And behind him, okay, so Spain and Netherlands. Switzerland making a little bit of a burst before the dismount, just to edge in front of Great Britain. So going into T2, Denmark, Spain, Netherlands, Switzerland, France, Great Britain. Sam Dickinson edging just ahead of Gaspard Tarot. Niels van Lanen, shoes are on and off he goes. Overtaking the Spanish athlete. Gladney taking on some cold sponges there. He'll either discard it within the littering area or he will tuck it into the uniform. We've seen quite a few of the athletes using that as an opportunity just to keep the body temperature down. In the background you can see just how strong the wind is. Van Lanen just being pipped there by Galvez. Dickinson grabbing the sponge there and chasing after Leriot. France dropping off the pace a bit. Tarot dropping back. So your race order at the moment: Denmark, Spain, Netherlands, Switzerland, Great Britain and France. And then we've got quite a gap has been created there. If the camera holds here just a little bit longer, which it didn't, we'd be able to see what was happening there. So Nicola Azzano, the athlete from Udine, racing for the Carabinieri in the blue uniform from Italy. So Team Ireland, that's interesting. Kulik from Portugal just slightly ahead there of Adrian de Haar. Sam Dickinson now moving ahead of the Swiss athlete. So Leriot now dropping behind Dickinson. Gladney still out there. That lead is about 80 to 100 meters. That's the length of the transition area. So the Bulgarian athlete who was with Jonathan Oki is now in on his own. Niels van Lanen dropping back now in the rankings. So Netherlands have dropped back. We got an update from the course. We now have a clear lead of Denmark, but Sam Dickinson from Great Britain has stormed through the pack. Is now taking Team GB into second place, Switzerland third, Spain fourth, Netherlands fifth. And news from the course: we have a penalty, a dismount penalty. Now, a dismount penalty is where the athlete gets off the bike incorrectly, and that means they got off the bike on or after the dismount line. So Team Switzerland have got a 10-second penalty. But Denmark down on the run to the handover. There's a notice board in the transition area. Oh, look at this, Sam Dickinson. Going to be handing over to Jess Fulliger. Sam Dickinson, what a phenomenal run he has put in. Jess Fulliger taking over now. Denmark in second, Spain in third, Switzerland in fourth, Netherlands in fifth, France in 6th, but Switzerland with a time penalty of 10 seconds, which has to be served on the last run. Sam Dickinson has taken Team GB from about 7th place up into the lead. What a phenomenal performance. He's handing over to Jess Fulliger, who took a bronze medal yesterday in the elite race. Mathilde Gauthier. Oh, Mathilde Gauthier is chasing. Now, Mathilde Gauthier taking the win yesterday for France. She's the reigning military triathlon champion. She was quicker in the water than Jess Fulliger. She was slower on the bike, and she was 2 seconds quicker on the run. Well, that's going to be interesting. Has Sam Dickinson created a big enough lead for Jessica Fulliger to take Team GB all the way home? On the final leg there for Team Italy, that's Costanza Arpinelli. Multiple successes as a junior athlete. At one point, as a junior, she was running faster than the elite women in Italy. She had a phenomenal career as a junior. Final leg now for Team Belgium, and that's Hasse Vleerackers. She had unfortunately she had a DNF in the earlier race. Technical problem took her out of the race, but Jessica Fulliger, Great Britain, powering her way down to the exit for the swim. This is the athlete who was called upon in Sunderland to jump in at the very last moment to create or to fill the gap that had been created by Olivia Mathias, unfortunately taken ill at the event. So it was Jess Fulliger who jumped in at the last minute, and she took her team, Team GB, to a silver medal at the WTS race in Sunderland. Here she is in a gold medal position at the moment, but in front of her, she's got that 110 meters up to transition, 8 kilometers on the bike, 1.7k on the run. This is a shorter run. The final athlete in the team has a shorter run, but already, look at that behind her. Is this going to be Anna Holm behind her, or is it going to be Cecilia Santamaria Soroka? So Jess Fulliger leading into transition. I think that's Anna Holm behind her for Denmark. That's it. No equipment outside the box. Let's get that right. Helmet fastened. Grab the bike. Off you go. Jess Fulliger leading. For Switzerland, Rebecca Betty. But don't forget the Swiss team have a penalty to serve. Betty first out there, Spain second, Denmark third. Mathilde Gauthier has a lot to do now to try and catch them up. So Cecilia Santamaria Soroka from Spain had a great swim there. This is Arpinelli just leading out Tanja Neubert. Tanja Neubert 6th in the elite race yesterday. So down to Jess Fulliger now. Can she put her head down, power away, keep those watts high on the bike? It's windy out there. She's on her own. She's got to focus. She's got to keep powering there, get a good cadence. If she can do that and keep ahead of Santa Maria, don't forget the Swiss team. There's a penalty coming for them on the final leg. Anna Holm choosing to sit behind at the moment. It's Soroka who's working at the front of that group. Rebecca Betty tucking in just behind, and Anna Holm bringing up the rear of that group of three who are chasing now Jess Fulliger. Turkish handover now. And this is Enes Kızılçuk handing over to Hatice Buse Erteken. So taking the first of the sweeping bends away, taking her out of sight of the chasing group. Jessica Fulliger, Great Britain, raced for France for many years, is fluent, absolutely fluent in French, of course, and absolutely regionally fluent in English. You heard her interview yesterday. It's great to hear. She has some great insight into the race and how the race unfolded and the experience of being out there in Turkey. So Jessica Fulliger just ahead there, looking over her shoulder just to see where the threat is. The threat is from the Spanish, Swiss and Danish group behind her. Soroka still on the front, Betty just behind her. Oh, what's happened? Oh no. It looks as if Anna Holm overcooked that corner. Goodness, you see, that's what happens. If you hit that corner just a little bit too fast, you will slide into the curb. And I think that was Anna Holm who slid into the curb, losing valuable seconds. We've just had a shout that number 9, team number 9, equipment outside the box. That's a swim cap and goggles possibly outside the box, and that will be a 10-second penalty for Team Belgium. So behind Betty and Soroka, Switzerland and Spain. Anna Holm desperately now trying to make amends for that skid and losing control of the bike. Hopefully she hasn't damaged the bike. Fulliger getting low on the bike there. Pushing quite a big gear, but she feels happy doing that. She was okay. Handover for the Bulgarian team, and this will see Gergana Stoyanova Okay, we did see a little bit of something going on there with the French athlete just tucking in behind the Irish. It was in fact a French athlete behind the Irish athlete, so we're not entirely sure how the dynamics of that have worked out. That's something for them to look at a little bit later. But at the moment, leading the race, Jessica Fulliger from Great Britain. Spain and Switzerland behind. Don't forget the Swiss team have a 10-second penalty on the final run. There are 2 laps of that final run. They go past the penalty box on 2 occasions. The coaches will be aware of the penalty immediately, and the penalty box has got a huge white sign, and on that sign will be the number of the athlete. There'll also be a letter code next to it to explain what the penalty's for. So they will have to go into the penalty box, take the penalty, and then run on. They can ignore the penalty, and they can run to the finish line, at which point they'll be disqualified. They can then appeal against the disqualification, and well, it's a bit of a gamble, really. If they really are convinced that they're not guilty of making a mistake, then they can go down and take the DSQ. But if they can recognize that the fault was theirs, such as equipment outside the box, it's better to take the penalty. So she's holding that lead, even though there's a big gear she's pushing on the bike. That's the corner we saw just now where Anna Holm had the difficulty. And it's the corner right at the bottom of an incline that takes you up over a section of road. So shouts and encouragement from the side there for Jess Fulliger. She's now coming up to the back of she's actually starting to lap athletes. What she'll do here, she'll do her very best to get past them. She's not allowed to take advantage of those athletes in front of her. So look, she's going straight to the left of them. She'll be going past. Now these athletes, similarly, can't take advantage of her because she's riding faster. And if they do that, the technical officials will see that move by those slower athletes, and they will be penalized for that, because the rules state that the athletes at the back of the pack in these relay races are not allowed to sit behind a faster athlete. And you can see the difference in power there. Those 3 athletes at the back of the race, and Jessica Fulliger absolutely storming past them. That's the difference in power that she's able to generate.
Avrupa Triatlon Şampiyonası'nda Triatlon Festivali'nde artık son anlar, son dakikalar diyoruz. Birazdan şampiyonları noktasından geçecek.
So pretty sure that this is the final lap for Team GB. I'm hoping that's the case, because there's been a lot of things happening, a lot of messages coming backwards and forwards, and I think she's now, Jess Fulliger is on her final lap. And she's not easing up at all, is she? Look at that, she's powering away all the time. Her concentration has been superb. Okay, French team there, just in front of the Netherlands. That's Marit van den Berg, sat just behind Mathilde Gauthier.
Şu anda koşarak gelmekte olan 2 minnak gönüllümüz var, görüyorsunuz. Şapkalı olan avukat olmak istiyor, haberiniz olsun. Evet, sohbet ettik onlarla. Bir de burada Balıkesir'in zıpkın delikanlılığını görüyorum, böyle kışık gibi. Bir de kafalarına şapka taksalar.
Now, penalty boxes have been with us for many years now, and it's going to be quite an emotional moment for Rebecca Betty, who will be told that's your number on there. Will she go into the penalty box? 10 seconds. It will be the longest 10 seconds of her life, because at the moment she's in a podium position. We first used a penalty box way back, and it was at the long distance duathlon world championships in Denmark, in Fredericia. We decided to put the penalty box for people who are drafting out on the bike course. We put the penalty box inside the transition area, huge transition area, and it was by the exit of the transition area. So all of the athletes who had been caught drafting they had to serve the penalty in the penalty box inside transition as the other athletes who hadn't cheated were leaving. And okay, there were a few insults that were fired from the athletes who hadn't cheated, but it worked. It was a bit of an experiment, and it worked. And since then, the technical committee for both Europe and World Triathlon have worked hard to refine this process, and now the position of the penalty box is much more clearly defined. The whole process is much better and much better organized, and you'll see that penalty box is about 200 meters, 250 meters from the finish, with a great big notice board. The athletes are properly trained for this, the officials are properly trained for this, and it's a much slicker operation now than it was in the past. So Jess Fulliger will be making her way in on this occasion. She'll be loosening her shoes. There she goes, turning left. Very soon she'll be turning onto the carpet. A little bit further round, there'll be a turn that will take her onto some asphalt before she moves down to the final dismount carpet. Off the bike before the big red line. Let's have no penalties there. There was a dismount penalty for one of the other teams earlier on. She's off the bike. Oh, easy. Way before the dismount line. Good dismount from Jessica Fulliger. Great Britain. Now, how much of a lead has she created? She was so powerful out there on the bike. But she'll have an opportunity as she goes around the corner now to see just how far ahead she is. A quick glance, is she going to look? Team GB in commanding position at the moment. Don't forget, these athletes will only be running the 1.7 kilometers, not the 1.9 that the earlier athletes ran. There we go, a quick glance there of Shannon Kelly from Ireland, a very distinctive green uniform, easy to pick out in the races. Jess Fulliger comfortably, shoes on, off she goes. Oh, she's fast. Oh. But behind her, Spain, Switzerland and Denmark. Anna Holm recovered from the slip she had on the bike. She's done well to get back up there. France in 5th place. Netherlands in 6th. So Marit van den Berg there in 6th place. What's going to happen? When will that 10 seconds be served? Camera picking up Shannon Kelly there from Ireland.
Evet, Onur Aydemir'in de keyfi yerinde. Allah'ım diyor, sağlıkla bitsin şu gün artık diyor. Yani kolay değil. Koskoca Avrupa Şampiyonası. Tabii perde gerisinde mutfak kısmında neler yaşandığını bir Onur Aydemir bilir, bir de kimler bilir. Ön tarafta da herkes günlük gülistanlık yolu var.
So in a moment, Jess Fulliger will have an opportunity to grab some fluids. Is she going to sacrifice a couple of seconds just to grab some fluids, or is she going to carry on? As they go under this covered area, there's a sponge station on the right. You can see there with the volunteers. Yep, she's grabbed a couple. And on the right, you can see our swim venue. Further down the pack, that's Team Germany with Italy. That's Tanja Neubert and Arpinelli just behind her. Of the two, Arpinelli could be the faster runner. Jess Fulliger running past the run penalty box. Doesn't see her number up there. That's fine. Neubert is in fact out quicker than Arpinelli. In the past, Arpinelli has been one of the quicker athletes on the run. She's got every potential to eat up that lead. At the moment, there you go. Betty, she's going to be looking at that number. Has her coach told her to go into the penalty box? Will she take the 10 seconds now, or will she take them on the final leg, on the final lap? Oh, Jess Fulliger looking so strong there. She's kept the sponge with her. Marit van den Berg dropping off the pace now. She's in sixth place, sorry. Because in front of her, Mathilde Gauthier has now accelerated away, leaving Marit van den Berg trailing in 6th place. Just seeing Hasa Fleerakus coming into transition with, I think that was Team Poland behind her, and that would have been Józefina Mlinarska, both junior athletes. Back to the front there, Jess Fulliger using that sponge just to drop a bit more water onto her head. Rebecca Betty ahead of Anna Holm. Well, if Team GB win this race, then they've got to say a very big thank you to Sam Dickinson, because his performance, taking them from about 7th, 8th place, right the way through, not only onto the podium, but onto the top of the podium, that was all down to Sam Dickinson's powerful running, swimming, running, biking and running. A tremendous performance. Okay, he's been rested. He didn't race over these last 3 days, but I wouldn't mind betting that Sam Dickinson has been standing up all these last days, shouting and cheering and using as much energy, probably running from place to place, shouting and cheering his team. So a great performance from Sam Dickinson. At the moment, though, Jess Fulliger, one more time, grabs a sponge. Let's get some get some refreshment there, cool the body down. And she will now make her way past the penalty box, onto the carpet and down towards the finish line. You can see our technical official on the bike at the top of the picture there. He will just set the bike slightly to the left of the exit from the run course, which is a leg that takes you all the way down to the finish area. As the cameras pick up, I think that's our last athlete, Gergana Stoyanova from Bulgaria. Jess Fulliger, Team Great Britain, all the way down to the finish. Let's see the other athletes down there waiting to cheer her on, and it will be Hamish Riley, Tilly Anima, Sam Dickinson, and Jess Fulliger bringing gold to Great Britain. Team GB take gold at the European Championships. What a race this has been. From being about 7th or 8th, they are now on top of the European podium. Celebrations all round. There'll be heavy partying tonight in Balıkesir. Absolutely awesome racing. Hamish Riley with a grin from ear to ear. And indeed, silver medal going to Spain. And it looks as if France has absolutely stormed through it. Mathilde Gauthier possibly taking the bronze medal. That penalty for Switzerland, well, that was a big price to pay. So Team Spain, that is Esteban Basanta Fus, Sara Guerrero Manso, Jose Ignacio Galvez Pons, Cecilia Santamaria Soroka. And for the French team, that's Baptiste Passama, Candice Denisot, Gaspard Tarot, and Mathilde Gauthier. Team Switzerland losing out at the very last minute. And Team Switzerland losing that for the dismount penalty. Oh, my dear. It's such a shame there for the Swiss team. A mistake like that, when you've got a huge red line in front of you, to land on or past that dismount line, that's cost them a podium position. It's cost them possibly a silver medal. And Genevieve Church, yes, Sam smashed it. Amazing racing all round. Costanza Arpinelli crossing the finish line there. We'll have a check in a minute to see which position Team Italy have got. Well, as soon as the number crunchers have finished their work, and that will be when the last athlete's finished and when the race referees have looked at the results, checked them and double-checked them, and then sent them across to Enrique Casada and David Bonilla at World Triathlon Headquarters. They will then analyze the results and publish them. They'll be up on the worldtriathlon.org, or sorry, on the triathlon.org page. You go there, check the button or click the button for results, and it will take you to them. And you'll then be able to see the splits for each individual leg. And I'll be very interested to see just how fast Sam Dickinson was, because that performance, taking the British team from nowhere near the medals, not just onto the podium, but onto the top of the podium, that was a truly outstanding performance from Sam Dickinson. A great race as well from Team Spain, taking them through to the silver medal. Their junior team claiming a bronze medal this morning. So this is Józefina Mlinarska for Team Poland, bringing it home for the Polish team. And that was the Ukrainian finish from Marina Kurik, just ahead there of Team Belgium, Hausa Fleerakkers. That was interesting. Marina Kurik very strong in the water and on the bike. And we have there Aviv Levy finishing just a shade ahead, I think, of the Czech athlete Alžběta Ruskova. Well, the medal ceremony for this race is taking place at 17:30 Turkish time, which is 3:30 UK time. So for the starting list for this race, we had 18 teams. Of those 18 teams, unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to Team Portugal after João Nuno Batista in the first leg had a mechanical problem with his bike. A great shame there, because the Batista brothers, Junior, and then the under-23 who raced and won the elite, both of them had taken the titles yesterday, and it was going to be really exciting to see what they could do with teammates Ines Rico and Maria Tome. Sadly, the magic stopped due to that mechanical failure. A great shame. On the run there, we see Hatice Buse Erteken from the Turkish team. And I think that was Gergana Stoyanova from the Bulgarian team just wrecking her bike. Yep, there she goes. 1.7 kilometers for Team Bulgaria, and then they will be finished. A good spirited run there. Shannon Kelly all the way down to the finish. She'll be greeted on the finish line by Russell White, Carolyn Hayes, and Jonathan Oakey. But first of all, Shannon Kelly's being encouraged to get up by one of our most experienced Turkish technical officials, Begüm Özgören, a fully qualified full-time surgeon based in Istanbul. Somehow manages to balance her time as a full-time surgeon with providing great support at triathlon events, not only in Turkey, but all over Europe. Well, before we run out of time and before the transmission finishes, I'd like to say a very special thank you to Bayram Yonçulkaya, president of the Turkish Triathlon Federation, for once again delivering a great event. I'd like to say thank you too to Yücel Yılmaz, the mayor of Balıkesir, for allowing triathlon to come here once again. And of course to the president of Europe Triathlon, Renato Bertrandi, for deciding that with the board, once again, we'll come down to this wonderful venue, and on this occasion to have a European Championship. A big shout out as well to our two technical delegates, Alpa Nagy from Hungary and Patrick Hendricks from Belgium. Our referees, Sasha Kochetkov and Lyudmila Medan. In fact, it was Sasha's birthday yesterday. Despite the fact that it was his birthday, he's there looking after the athletes, making sure everything's okay. Also to Maria Czakuskaya-Tarasevich, our team leader. To Hussein Onur Aydemir, who's our assistant technical delegate and the LOC director. A big thank you as well, of course, to all of the volunteers who worked so many hours out there in the heat. Yes, a couple of days ago, it went up to 40 degrees. And for the team of volunteers, LOC today, who during the very, very hot period while we were away, did so much to remove the banners and branding to make it safe for the race in those incredibly gusting winds. To the large technical team, all the technical officials there, all volunteers, giving up their weekend to make sure the race was fair and safe for everybody. Big shout out to them. Of course, to all of the athletes, 30 different nations racing here. That's been amazing. So a big shout out to all of our athletes, all of the coaches, the federations, for making this European Championships 2023 such an exciting, fantastic race to watch on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. I think we might be able to see the closing stages of this race, and our final athlete cross the finish line, which will be Gana Stoyanova. The anchor leg for the race for Team Bulgaria, set off by Boris Andreev, handed over to Anastasia Pecheva, then Borislav Palavchev with Gana Stoyanova finishing.
Yarışmayı tamamladı. 16. takımda gözümüzün nuru Türk milli takımıydı. Ve ulaşmasını beklediğimiz tek takım kaldı. Evet, Türk milli takımı buraya alıyorum. Gençler, Zekeriya Hocam. Aynı şimdi Türk milli takımında sıra.
Okay, we're looking at the Europe Triathlon page to see what events are coming up next. Well, the next event on the Europe Triathlon calendar is a rather nice event.
Ahmet Şereflioğlu burada mısın?
I've just heard from the organisers. We are going to see the medal ceremony, so stay with us. We've got the medal ceremony coming up. But the next event we will see is a European Junior Cup. That's next weekend, and that's taking place in Riga, in Latvia. So a chance again for the junior athletes you saw racing over the weekend here. Some of them will be racing in Riga. You've then got the next European Cup will be taking place in Chisinau in Moldova. Very good event that is. Very short. Again, it's a short format race with the opportunity for the athletes to race in an individual race and then a relay race. Perfect location. It's in downtown Chisinau. The airport is very close to the city. The hotel is very close to the venue. It's a beautiful freshwater lake right in the centre, just on the edge of the centre of town. Stoyanova making her way down to the finish line now. Team Bulgaria rounding off today's racing, but that will be the Chisinau event is on the 19th and 20th of this month. Then you've got the big event taking place in Menen in Belgium. It's the Europe Triathlon Multisport Championships. Stoyanova really pushing all the way down to the finish now. Our last athlete crossing the line, Team Bulgaria, home and safe. Get under cover, there's the ice bath just through to her left. But yeah, going back to the event calendar, the Multisport Championships taking place at the end of the month in Menen. We've got aquathlon, long distance triathlon, aquabike and middle distance, so there's a huge variety of events to choose from. There's a Junior European Cup in Dublin at the very end of the month on the 26th. All of the events, the entire calendar can be seen by clicking onto the europe.triathlon.org page.
Evet, bu güzel sözleri için takımların kaptanına yürekten teşekkür ediyoruz. Takımları buraya alma şansımız var mı? Şöyle herkes görsün değerli dostlar. Hazır hepinizi yakalamışlar. Şuraya alalım sizleri. Haydi size buyurun. Süratli değerli dostlar.
So we've got about 11 minutes to go now before we have the award ceremony. It's due to start in about 11 minutes at 5:30 Turkish time. So you've got just enough time to go away and come back.
Burada tabii ki daha iyi sonuçlar almak isterlerdi ama ilerleyen yıllarda emin olun çok daha iyi yapacaklar. Bakın hepsine, yüzlerindeki inanca bakın, yüzlerindeki gülümsemeye, harikasınız, sizleri seviyoruz. Onları yürekten yapmışlar. Evet. Teşekkür ediyoruz. Milli takımımız için verin coşkuyu. Haydi olsun. Evet dostlar, bitti yarışma. Komple bitti. Değerli triatlon severler, Balıkesir halkı, şu anda biten yarışmayla 3 gün süren triatlon festivali sona erdi. Saat 5.30'da toplantı salonunda ödül töreni var. Günün son etkinliği ödül töreni var. Siz değerli triatlon severleri saat 17.30'da gerçekleştirilecek ödül törenine davet ediyoruz. Hepinize serin günler diliyoruz. Harikasınız. Teşekkürler.